I don't know where I start at, but I'm going to start with the way I feel. And I want to make this perfectly clear. I'm very disappointed in how we perform. I'm not disappointed in our players by no stretch of the imagination, okay? We got to coach them better. We got to get them prepared better. We got to play better. And that's where we are. There were plays that were disappointing. You know, I've never started a game, or we've never started a game that way. We played 3 plays. They gained 160 yards and 14 points, you know. And from there on, it didn't get much better. So what we got to do, and we've already in the process of putting that behind us, a lot of lessons to be learned for me, our staff, as well as our players. With that said, now I'll start taking questions.
Raise your hand, we'll get a mic to you.
I guess you faced Alabama 31 times, I think it is, as a coach. 32, I guess, as a GA too. I mean, how does that Alabama offense rank with the other ones you've seen?
You know, how can you say anything other than that's probably the best? And I think, you know, as you see them, you know, they've kind of evolved to a different style of offense than, you know, since when Coach Saban got there. You know, they were a big pro team. I ran the ball. They still do a little bit of that, but they're a lot more spread, a lot more RPOs. They got obviously a very, very talented quarterback, and he's got a lot of talent to get the ball to, and they did a great job of preparation and a great job of executing. So I don't know. I used to say in 1995 we faced an Ohio State team in the bowl game that I thought maybe was the best at that time, the best offense we'd ever played against. I can't say that any longer.
Coach Morris had said that you got out-leveraged a lot against Alabama. I wonder how much of that was mistakes that your players were making versus the speed that you were seeing on the other side?
Well, I think, you know, and again, you know, we won't talk players, but, you know, first play of the game, we had a Y that came back behind the formation that we should have picked up, should have made that play. And even when we didn't make that play, we had 3 or 4 opportunities to get him tackled. And that didn't occur. Now, they got talented people running with the football. The third play of the game, you know, we did finally get him on the ground. Ball came out. You know, they recovered it, you know, and scored a touchdown, you know. So those kind of things happen. But, yeah, you know, and were there some calls or times when we could have been in better calls? You're doggone right, you know. And I take that, you know, I take that in consideration when we sit in there and watch that film. And I don't hide it from our players. If we're not in a great call, hey, that's on me. That's on me. And I'm gonna own my work. There's no question about that. You know, our players have done a tremendous job of preparation. They've given us outstanding effort, and we just got to teach them better. We got to help them, and that's what we got to do, and that's what we're going to do. And we've already started the process.
Ole Miss has put up a lot of big numbers too this year. I wonder, are there similarities between Alabama and Ole Miss? What are they?
Well, there are, but you know, Ole Miss's receivers are fast, but we're talking about guys that are 6'4", 230 pounds, and they're bigger. They're stronger. So hopefully we can get enough people around them to tackle them. You know, that's what we got to be able to do. But yeah, they've got a great scheme, and it's where college football has evolved to. You know, you spread people out, you run RPOs, and you know you're forced and absolutely forced to be in man coverage. You know, even if you call a zone because of what's happening, you're going to be in some one-on-one situations, and you can call it a zone if you want to, but it's man on man, and we've got to make plays on the perimeter when that happens. And you know, certainly I think we you know got some work like a lot of people to do there. And then you got to play the running game. You know, how do you spread out? You know, when they've got you know guys in the box, they got a Y, they got a tailback in the game, and you got to account for the running game. If you don't, you're going to get burned there. So there's a medium there, but certainly it puts you in some one-on-one situations, and we got to do a better job when we're in those one-on-one situations.
I was wondering if you could give a scouting report on the quarterback Ta'amu. Did A&M play Ole Miss after he started playing, or was it before last year?
After.
Can you give a report on him? What you've seen?
Well, he's a good player, and obviously he's a tough young man. Runs the football. they'll empty the box and run quarterback draws. They're not afraid to run him. In their read zone scheme, he'll pull it and keep it and do those things. But also in the RPO game, he's got a cast of receivers that he can certainly get the ball to that can hurt you. So it's going to be much of not exactly the same, but very similar to what we've seen. People that have that quarterback that can run, that's a dual threat, and also can get the ball to the receivers. It makes you play the entire field, and that's where football's changed since 15 years ago. But we felt like we've had some good situations that help us, and that's what we got to do. We got to do a better job of scheming, but also understand this: when you do scheme, you got to make sure that your players fully understand what's expected of them, and that's the thing that I can tell you. It's we got to do a better job of that, of teaching technique, and then the one thing that I hadn't mentioned, and go back, it was definitely not our best tackling game. We got to tackle better, and that's something that we've talked about a couple of times, and that's something that we got to get done a lot better. But you have to give Alabama some credit. Their athletes accounted for some of those missed tackles, but we can still be a lot better fundamentally and do a lot better job tackling when we get the ball in open space.
Any more questions for Coach Chavis?
Sosa looked very agitated at some of the points during the game over the way he was being blocked. How do you handle that with him? Do you get on the phones with him, and how do you deal with that?
We do it on the sideline, and I mean, I'm not going to single out anybody and say that, but hey, I guarantee you wasn't the only person frustrated, and when you let some things happen that we let happen, you got to be able to settle your team down and get everybody back together, and that's what you have to do. And if you say, hey, Coach, were you frustrated? Yeah, there was a couple of times that I was, but I got to keep my composure. I got to help them keep their composure, and that's what we got to do. We got to build. We got to build. There isn't any difference in terms of how we're going to approach things. We're going to do it like a family. We're going to hold each other accountable. Before I start holding them accountable, I'm going to hold myself accountable, and that's the way we're going to approach things.
I know you've been at Memorial a few times with Tennessee and LSU. I wonder, do you have any impressions of it as a visitor, as a visiting coach of War Memorial Stadium?
Yeah, got beat over here a couple of times, so we got to go get a win. That's my impression. Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
You don't really think of the SEC as being a haven for Hawaiian quarterbacks, but you're going to play a really good quarterback from Hawaii for the second week. Just wonder what you think about that. And then they've got 3 of the top 6 receivers in the SEC. How tough a deal is that?
Well, it's like I said, it's going to be a lot of the same. They're different. It's a different style of receiver. There's no doubt they use them in the appropriate way. They got a tight end that will be, or has been as productive as we've seen too. And we got to, again, we got to improve fundamentally, and that's what you go to. You go to fundamentals. You make sure your players understand. We're not going to overload them with scheme. We're going to be fundamentally sound, and that's the way we got to approach this game. But in terms of the quarterback, he's well coached, as was the one that we played last week, as polished as they come, and we've got to try to do some things to, create some situations within the pocket where we got him moving around. And, we didn't get that done last week, and that's going to be important that we do that this week.
You ever think you'd be playing in the SEC too, Hawaiian quarterbacks and back-to-back?
You know what? Never really thought about it, but here we are. Thank you, guys.